Hello, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll be showing you how you can install an SSL certificate into a virtual machine. I mean, when you install some applications and let's say the application set up a certificate for you and you are deploying the application to a virtual machine, even if you already have the certificate, you need to be able to tell your web server where it should look at to locate the certificate and the keys and the likes. So this is very key. Usually, I mean, more than 50% of all the web servers that are in use in the world today, I haven't done the research, but I believe more than 50% are using either Nginx, Apache, or IIS server. That's the Windows server, IIS web server. So for this video, I'll be demonstrating on Nginx. I'll be creating another video. In this video, I'll be using a self-signed certificate. I'll be creating a self-signed certificate. In the other video, where I'll be having a DNS label, not just bare IP address, I will be using a trusted certificate from Let's Encrypt. We'll be seeing how we can create such. So for that, we would use an Apache web server. IIS is GUI, so I believe that it's a lot easier. So let me just share my screen so that we can continue. Okay, so I think this is my screen. It's coming up. So I think you should be able to see my screen now. Wait, let me stop sharing and reshare. Okay, so I think you can see my screen now. So what I would do is um I will create a virtual machine very quickly. I'll provision a virtual machine. It's coming up. Let me call this VM with SSL 1. VM with SSL 1. I do not need availability. Ubuntu server is great. Let me choose my SSH key. I'll pick the same one so that I will not need to download it again. Then let me open ports 80 and 443 inbound. So let's go to the disk. And the only thing I will do here is I'll change from from premium SSD to standard SSD. Yeah, so now I can review and create. So I want to provision the virtual machine. Then when that is done, I would install Nginx. Then we'll verify that Nginx is working. Then we would also try to um would try to access it with HTTPS and we'll see what we'll get. Then we'll try to install the self-signed certificate. Then we um then we'll see how we can make use of it. Okay, so it's running final validation passed, so I can create. Yeah, so you know, as I said earlier on, by default, when you provision a virtual machine, there's usually no SSL attached to it. You can only access it using HTTP. Can only access it without SSL. So it's your responsibility to install the SSL in the web server, which is what we are doing in this video. Let's just wait a while. It will be done very soon. So let me even start opening my terminal, but we would only continue when this is completed. Let me go and open my terminal. Yeah, so it is done. It is done. So let me go to resource as my terminal is opening. So what I'm interested in now is the IP address. So if I should copy this and we try to um access it here, even with HTTP, it's not going to load because there's no web server. So can't reach the page. There's no web server. So let me close it. I've copied it. So now I would share my terminal and we are going to install a web server into this. So we are going to install a web server. Let me get the command. Yeah. So I'll paste the IP address, the public IP address. Yeah. So yes. Okay, so we are in now. So let's just do apt update first before we install Nginx. Okay, so now let's do sudo apt install Nginx. Okay, so now we've installed Nginx. So by just installing it, let's just go and see what difference we have. So now let me stop sharing and I'm going to share my browser again. Where's my browser? Yeah, I think this is it. Okay, so I'll copy this again. It's already copied. I will open a new tab and I'll paste it. And you can see now by installing Nginx, we now have this default Nginx page, which shows that our Nginx web server is fully installed and it's working. But now this is the problem. If I should copy this and I paste it here and I try to access it over a secure channel, I put S over here, it's not going to work. Yeah, it's not going to work because there's no SSL. Okay, so I'll close this and I would go back to my terminal and would make some modifications. Okay, so now let me have I stopped sharing? Okay, let me stop sharing and let me reshare my terminal. Okay, so now we want to install our um our certificate. We are installing a self-signed certificate because we can't use a trusted certificate with IP address. We if we are going to use an IP address, we need to have a custom domain or something, some kind of domain, um, rather than an IP address. Okay, so what I will do is I'll be using Open SSL for that certificate. I'll just copy the code and I'll paste it. Yeah, so I'll paste it here and I'm creating the certificate. You can see the certificate name, Nginx self-signed, the certificate key, and the likes. The RSC algorithm, the length, the key length 2048 eh, expires after 1 year, blah blah blah. So we have this. So let me press OK. Country name, two letter. Um, let me use NG. Let me use NG. I can also leave it blank. State or province. Let me use let's say Lagos. Why are they asking for so much information? Let me still say Lagos. I can skip this as well. You can see there are some fields you can leave blank, but for some fields there will be a default value, blah blah blah. So let me leave this blank. Organization name, organizational unit. Let me leave it blank. Common name, e.g. the server. I can leave this blank as well, but let me use frankly Ayo. Email address. Let me leave it blank. And we are good. Okay. So we've created our certificate, and if you look at the link, we are the paths from the command, from this command that I just run. You can see the paths, etc SSL is where we have the SSL certificate. etc SSL certificate is where we save the certificate file, and etc SSL private is where we save the private key for the certificate. Okay, so let me take that out. Now, what we need to do now is to we need to activate that certificate. We need to link that certificate with our web server. What we just did was to create the certificate. So now we need to link it to our web server. We want to tell our web server that it should, where it needs to look at when it's trying to locate the certificate or the key, our certificate files. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll be copying some additional code. Let me first go to our web server folder. So sudo, let me use nano. Nano is a text editor. etc nginx. So we want to tell our web server where it should look at for our certificates. /sites available. So what we can do is, even before I use nano, let's cd into this folder. Yeah, so let's see what's there. You can see the default folder is there. So that's where we are going to create our configuration file. And that's what we want to modify. So now we can do sudo nano default. Yeah, just default is fine. And we can see the default files over here. So we are going to be modifying this um, to let it know where you should look at to locate our certificates. Let me just scroll down. Okay, this is the ending. So I'll copy it and I'll paste. Just give me a moment. Let me be sure I don't have what I'm looking for is not here already. Okay, so we only have configuration here for port 80. So I'll be adding the one for port 443. Okay, I think I can replace everything we have here. Okay, so I'll change this to 443 and I'll give it a name. I'll call it SSL. And I would tell it to listen, or let me still use the default server as the name. Default server as the name. So I'll tell it to listen port 443. Okay, so this was what I was looking for. So what I will do is let me just change this back to what we have here. Then I'll modify the one that is below. I'll comment this out because I don't want it to listen on port 80 anymore. But the one for SSL, I'll remove the comments. Or I can even allow it to still listen on 80, on port 80, so that we are going to have both working. Yeah, but now the interesting thing now is the location. The location is what we need to specify. So we have these routes, www is fine, index, this is fine. Yeah, so I think this is good. So we are going to save it. So all you just need to do is to remove the comments the from the certificate we have over here. From the server, just remove the comment for 443 and you are good. So that's the only change that you need to make. Okay, so what I would do now is let me save this. Yes, saving this. Yeah, so I've saved that. So what I would do is I would now restart the server and let's see if we have any change. So I will do um sudo systemctl restart Nginx and let's see. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let's go back to our program. So I think there is there's a conflict here. So let's comment this out and let's save. Yeah, so now we can save. I think this is good. Okay, so let me save now. Let's try it again. Okay, so we still have the same issue. So what's the problem? Oh, so my bad. I didn't add the path to the certificate. So that's what I'm adding now. I think that's the problem. Yeah, so let me add the path to the certificate now. Just below this. So it's not from here. Let me add the paths. I think I can paste it. I can paste them here. So let me paste it. The certificate that we created, we need to provide the paths for it. Okay, so now let me remove this comment out of this. Okay, so now let's save again. Let's try it again. Hopefully it should work now. And it worked. So now we have restarted the Nginx server. So now let's go back and see if we can work, we can access it via ports 443. So I've stopped sharing. I'm going to share my browser now. Yeah, so you can recall that previously when we tried to access it on ports HTTPS, it said that the page did not load at all. But now, because it is self-signed certificate, it will give us the option that even though it cannot be trusted, but do we want to proceed? And that's what we are going to do. So if I should load this now, you can see now it's saying it isn't private. If I go to advanced and I click to continue, we'll be able to access it, and you can see this HTTPS. The only reason why it's saying not secure is because it is a self-signed certificate, but we can now access it via HTTPS. So that's basically how um you can install a self-signed certificate. There are two key steps that we did. The first thing is that we created our certificate and the key, the certificate key. Then secondly, we went to the server block. We provided a path to the certificate files, and we also enabled um, the port 443. So the reason why I also left port 80 is such that we can, if we should load this, this will still work. As me I had commented out port 80, this will no longer work. If I should load this, it will still work on port 80. It will still work. Okay. So that is that for this video. So if you find this video helpful, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.